I'm borderline narcissist megalomaniac, left unchecked. You should stop me whenever. Thank God my wife does that, but you know.
When the boat is landing,
everybody's looking for identity. I wasn't playing school sports. I'm certainly not a musician, which I'd like to be, but I could do this thing. People didn't care that I could draw, but when they found out that I was willing to do tattoos on them, man, I was in. I was in. So I could go to every party. I could go to parties at the railroad tracks with all the jocks and the rich kids. I could go to the projects and hang out with kids that were in gangs at 16. And I could walk among all these people. And not only could I be in there, but these people wanted me in there. It gave me an ability to be somebody.
While you take a trip in a battleship on the old Fall River line, on the old Fall River line, on the old Fall River line. I lost an 18-carat, what a super fine. I got into someone's trousers, then someone got into mine. You can lose your life, yes, and lose your wife on the old Fall River line.
Everything I do revolves around where I come from. When I say that I feel like I live and breathe Fall River, I mean that both literally. I was born here, I was raised here. But I mean that I have watched people in all facets of life who are from here have a very similar story to me. I know a lot of people who have been through the type of traumas that I've been into. So if I go to a local bar and I'm waiting for friends to get there, and while I'm waiting, I talk to 3 other guys, we share that in common, and it's something we can bond over. It isn't great to say, but sometimes citizens bond over trauma and pain. And this area has seen a lot of trauma and pain, and it continues to. So I don't run from that. I wished everything in my past was better. But I believe that my story is common here. So when people walk in with that story and they're a little bit embarrassed of it, when they meet me, they know that they don't have to be embarrassed of it. We can bond on that. That's important to me here. That's why I didn't have a notebook with 90 studio names. There was only going to be one name. I take it personally when someone comes in who isn't from here and talks negatively, but I don't take it personal when someone who's from here has some negative feelings. No, man, I hear you. You've earned the right to talk like that. So many of us here fit the same profile. I mean, maybe, I come from a one-parent home. The welfare systems, the public school systems. I mean, being around people that people would never let their kids be around. Man, I was 40 years old when I was 11. And your kid is 11 when he's 11. So it started like a lot of kids start. I saw my uncle doing stick and poke. I started doing stick and poke on my friends. No matter how bad you are at tattooing, you've always got a friend who wants Ozzy across their knuckles. And that's what you're gonna do. So I did that. And I'm in junior high school and I'm stick and poking. And then somewhere around freshman, sophomore year of high school, I get these plans on building a jail machine. Okay, and I call it that now, but a home electric tattoo rig with a 9-volt battery and a rotary motor out of a remote control car. And the next thing I know, now I'm doing electric tattoos on people. So now I'm getting really ballsy. I'm like, would you like your name across your shoulders? We're doing that. Let's go. And then because it was illegal in Mass, if there's 3 guys in an entire city doing tattoos, everyone knows those 3 guys. So senior year of high school, I talked to a drug dealer friend. And I mean, he was selling like pot. Let's not get crazy. He wasn't like a cocaine dealer. And I asked him if I could borrow $500 because $500 is what it costs to get the Super Saver No. 2 kit from Huck Spalding off the back of Tattoo Magazine. Now, not only am I a home kitchen magician, but I've got real tattoo machines. So now if a couple of dirtbag friends of mine came through, they were going to get it whether I had a stick and poke or a jail rig. But their girlfriends that they brought with them were not going to get it from a guy who made a machine out of a Bic pen and a 9-volt motor. But I had real tattoo machines, and they were chrome, and I was a tattooer. It was as easy as that.
We gonna start a new thing, never been done before. Join hands and make it rain. Get your stuff, get on the floor. Don't care.
I had no clue what I was doing. I had so little clue of what I was doing, I didn't even know why the kit came with 2 tattoo machines. I thought if one broke down, I could use the other. I had no idea that they were tuned to be a liner and a shader. It didn't matter.
Get it good, get it in the groove. I like the way y'all move. Shake the joint up now.
I never thought tattooing could be a career because it didn't look that way back then. These guys, a lot of the times, they did 50 things. I mean, Buddy Mott, legendary tattooer from Newport, Rhode Island, this guy was a sign painter, an engraver. He did 50 other things. Tattooing was just on the list. I had a friend who was doing tattoo parties in the same scene I was. And, we bumped paths and we were doing things like that. And then all of a sudden one day Russ said, hey, I'm going to open up a tattoo parlor in Rhode Island. I said, I don't know about that. I'm going to keep doing it on the undergrounds. And one day I was having a tattoo party, and this was in the day of pagers. My cousin Billy paged somebody, probably a girl. He wanted that girl to call him back right away. So he put 911 at the end of the thing. Unfortunately, Billy not being an expert on pagers, he must have hit the dial hang up, and then the 911 went through. So police officers showed up at my door, and they're banging on my door. I've got 30 kids in my house. It's a full-blown tattoo party. The Fall River police are at my door. We freeze. We throw sheets over my equipment. They come in. They arrest my cousin, laughing because he also had warrants. And he called 911 on himself. And it was that day I told everyone to leave my apartment. In fact, one of the guys who was there, I was halfway through his tattoo. I made him leave because I was so amped up about the cops coming there. I never finished it. I never saw that kid again. So I hope it all worked out. But the next day I called Russ and I said, are you still opening your shop? And he said, yeah, I've been here for like a week. I go, I'm coming through.
Can't you see that I can't take it no more?
And that was it. Now, not only am I a tattooer, it's my job and I work in a tattoo parlor. I had no more experience the day I got there than the day the cop showed up at my house. And we were able to make money tattooing. It was ridiculous. I mean, you got money for beer, you got weed money. I can take a girl to the Harbor Mall movie theater and get the large popcorn. Things were good. So that's when I realized that it could be an occupation.
Hold a minute, catch my breath. That's what I'm gonna do.
Even when I was young, I felt like when I was a kid, I was kind of an adult. And I liked the idea of when people met my grandfather, they'd call him Mr. and his name. So I went, I'm going by Mr. Bruce, because again, my last name sucks. No one's gonna get it. I went by Mr. Bruce. I had a business card that said tattoos by Mr. Bruce, local legend. I'd been tattooing 9 minutes with 0 training. And I wrote local legend on my own business card. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about becoming a tattooer, in a nutshell, then nothing will. I went to my first tattoo convention. It was in Virginia, 1997. And I took 4 or 5 seminars. Myself and a friend of mine, Dave Kessler, we took the bus to Virginia. We showed up at this convention. We walk up to the front desk where you register your booth as an artist, right? We walked up and they said, artists, and we just went, mm-hmm. And they gave us lanyards that said it. And now I'm walking around a tattoo convention as a tattooer, right? I have that badge, it's here. I took seminars from the creator of Time Machine, Danny Fowler. Dwyer was there talking about power supplies. I saw the first RCA plug that I'd ever seen. I took a seminar from Paul Booth. I have a photo of me sitting on the side of Spider Webb. He had passed out for some reason. I don't know if he was just sleeping or if he was drunk. And I snuck on the side of him, I took a photo, and then I walked away. I went seeking out information as a scratcher. And then we went home and tattooed in my house in my little makeshift, tattoo room.
But I don't wanna sit around if you're gonna fake it. I got to get on out. Roll it.
I believe that there are two kinds of tattoo shops. There is a shop that produces artwork, and in that shop you will find specialists on that type of artwork. That can be photorealism. It can be impressionism from famous artists that they're able to reproduce with this format. Those shops are generally appointment only, and they should be, because this isn't work you can do quickly. And these guys are at a high level of artistic knowledge. You got guys who come from oil painting backgrounds, have been to art school, things like that. So that's one kind of tattoo shop. And then there is what I would consider to be the root of all tattoo shops, the street shop. That's where I live. A street shop means I'm on a city street in a business district neighborhood where people walk in and they go, here's what I'm thinking. And it's Ozzy on my knuckles, it's my wife's lip prints on my neck. It isn't always necessarily something you would consider artwork, but it's important to the person who's asking for it. So you need to be able to do script, a tribal scorpion. You need to be able to do an armband, a tattoo on his wife's foot, and his daughter wants a semicolon right behind her ear. You need to be able to work in different body positions, under chaotic music selections, in a shop where the front door is unlocked. That's a street shop. And again, that's where I live.
Chow mein sandwich. Chow mein sandwich.
This property has a really cool history. When I was young, it was several bar rooms, okay? One of the more famous ones was Players Pub. And Players Pub, first off, that's a cool name. Players Pub? What?
Mate never gets fat on chow mein. Well, a bowl of rice with some...
That's what led me to thinking that I needed some variation of a Playboy bunny as our mantra and logo. Because if you're hanging at Players Pub, you're a player. This is where the players go. Further back in the 40s and 50s, it was a couple of small restaurants. It was a general store at one time, but it's got a rich history.
Everyone likes chow mein too.
I'm where I should be right now. I have stumbled on the right circumstances, and I found myself in the right place. The electrical inspector, the plumbing inspector, when I was building out the place, they would come in and say, man, I met my ex-wife here. Man, I can't stand her, but she could dance. And I'm like, that is, you just spoke that into the walls, man.
I had my first drink of vodka at 15, probably right there, that spot.
I had to cut into this concrete slab a huge hole to expose the plumbing for us to add the new plumbing, which is substantial. I was alone here one night, and the concrete guy was coming the next day to fill in this hole. And again, the building has such a rich history, but none of it's my history. So I said, what could I do that, like, even if I'm dead, this building's mine? I sourced out every trinket I had that I thought meant something, and I buried it in the floor. So there are rosaries that belong to my grandmother in this floor. There's also a chicken foot that I got in New Orleans on a drunken bender weekend one time that are in this floor. I have a coin that I flipped at a Board of Health meeting at City Hall. And the lawyer told me that I should table my request because, the board was not very receptive to new licensing. And if I wanted to up my chance on opening, God forbid, a tattoo shop, he thinks, in his opinion, I should wait. I didn't want to wait. And I pulled out a quarter and I flipped it in front of him. And I said, we're going up. I have that quarter taped to a piece of paper, and I wrote, "Fortune favors the bold." It's buried in this floor. I'm not fiscally responsible. I'm not even financially educated, nor business educated. Still, okay? But I know that putting that stuff on that floor is the right thing to do if you want to have your soul in a place. And if you want that to emanate outward, whether or not any of that magic actually happens. I'm not positive, but I'm going to bet on black and hope it goes that way. I don't think that people come to me because I have some sort of gift in tattooing. I think people come to me because if they sit down with me one time for enough time, they'll figure out that I've got the other gift, and that is being a receiver of what they need to get off their chest. They either need to get it off their chest in the form of them getting the tattoo, or they needed to feel pain somehow, and in receiving that pain also needed to vent to a person who they felt is honest enough to give that information to. They probably knew I was somebody they could trust before I knew that they were somebody I could trust. I don't think the clientele knows my position on how much more important they are, to me than, drawing, an eagle, or a sailing ship, from the 50s. That is just, for me, that is the entryway into them giving me what I'm missing. So this job recruits everyday people who unknowingly are my therapists. They'll always say to me, "Man, coming here is like therapy." And when they leave, I laugh because I'm like, this guy has no idea. Like, he's the therapist. I'm an absolute whirlpool. I'm a mess. But this guy just helped me with me talking to my son about his new child, or me, dealing with somebody outside of the shop in another avenue. I'm never going to be done working on myself through this job. Oh, here comes a worm. Here comes a worm. Tattooing is notoriously a difficult thing to get into, probably by design. Kids come in all the time asking us to take apprenticeships, and I say, that's not available, I'm sorry. It's not me safeguarding or gatekeeping. The fact is, I've only got a certain amount of rooms here. I would never apprentice anyone that wasn't going to work here. Everything I do here, I do for myself, but I do for the guys that are watching me or hearing me from a distance. I want to let them know that they're behind the curtain, and I'm here to back them up because they've earned it. They've done it the right way. And, a lot of these guys, it can be a dream, a nightmare, a curse to get this job, but everybody pays a price to get here, man.
Here we go again.
Nathan Teasdale is another kid. I had tattooed him when he was fairly young. I won't say when because I don't know what the statute of limitations on that is. But he tells a story of how he came to a shop that I was working at here in Fall River, and he walked in, I was working, and I had to come out to the desk, and I was a little bit frustrated. I was in one of my meetings. And he says, "Hey, I'm looking for a job. I'd like to get into tattooing." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever, man. Who doesn't, And he goes, "Well, I have a portfolio of all my work."
Had a bunch of cartoon, old school Tom and Jerry stuff. I had some Mortal Kombat, couple Sailor Jerry style, just line drawings. Didn't have a whole lot of experience with the tattoo flash yet. Handed it over to Bruce, and he took a glance at it for about 30 seconds.
Took his portfolio and put it in front of me. And I took each page while looking him in the eye, and I turned a few like this, and I went, "It's not gonna work out, kid."
So that's all I was used to growing up anyways, was that type of response. No, that, try harder, or, that looks like you can do better. So I took that as motivation to prove them wrong.
Oh, yeah. Come on now, man.
Now, what I like about that is, that's the kind of stuff that kills 99% of dreams. We get a lot of kids that come in here, or these adults that say, "My daughter draws great," or "My son wants to be a tattooer." They wouldn't be able to make it past one of those turn downs. And Nate went through it a dozen. And now, full circle, he works with me. He's an incredible tattooer, skill set beyond mine. And that didn't stop him from living the dream. The biggest thing I see missing for young tattooers who are just getting in or being introduced to it is the struggle. A young kid today sees people on Instagram or sees somebody do a podcast or a YouTube channel or sees somebody start a garage band, upload a few songs to SoundCloud, and they become successful meteorically, right? They miss out on all of the failure, all of the struggle, all of your friends and family and teachers and girlfriends telling you that you're a loser for trying to go down this road. And I think that's what makes you a great artist. So I think the biggest thing that they're all missing is the rocky road up front. That initial rocky road. You know, learning from somebody a bit saltier, learning a little bit about their tools. You're starting with a much more modern tattoo pen. You really should start with a coil machine so you understand how to service a machine. And you can go to the pen if you feel like it. Hey, I use them. I think they're missing that part. That rocky road up front is going to be the best thing for you. It won't seem that way, but it really is. Tattooing is funny because it's ridiculous. And I still can't believe people pay me to do it, but this is the equivalent. I run the equivalent of like a lemonade stand. I'm an air guitar specialist. It's ridiculous that this is not only something people want on them, but they'll pay me to do it. So there's that part of it. But then there's the part where it's also the heaviest thing I've ever done in my life. This kid knows me for one reason, and it's the tattoo. And he can't ever get rid of me. That's it. I'm part of him walking around in the world. So it's the heaviest possible thing, while at the same time being utterly ridiculous. You're ridiculous. Stop acting like you're somebody with, man, you are something. Your mother was right. You have something, man. Those two things need to exist simultaneously for me. And that's what keeps me going.
Well, I'm a Portuguese sailor. I got a knife for a pretty girl. I've spent 7 years on a whaler. I've had some good times around the world. But when I landed in Fall River, she was staying at the Somerset Motel. I should never have left Navarro. Now I won't see her anymore. Oh, Fall River. Oh, Fall River. Oh, Fall River. I should never have left Navarro. Now I won't see her anymore. Well, her hair,
and I mean, you know, it's hard to not, you know, I was already I was full of myself already. I've got like 15 phrases and one-liners that I use at the counter every day, at the dummy rail. You gotta learn shooting free throws the minute you decide you want to play basketball. That's it. If I'm gonna play guitar, I want to be Eddie Van Halen, right? There's no such thing as leprechauns, Jim. I've tattooed many leprechauns on Irish people. He is smiling like a possum eating peach pits. It's like being a vegetarian steak specialist. You know, you can't make steaks and be vegan. I don't think I've made everybody happy in my career. I'm sure that I've met a few people one time, and as hard as this is for my mom to believe, I don't think they thought I was a special person. A wise man once said, wherever you go, there you are.
now let you pick up the baby, don't you